Hari Om. In the Python programming course, we are currently discussing module 1, and in module 1, we are now talking about the different data types in detail, the lists, tuples, dictionaries, and sets. We had already covered all these topics in our previous sessions. The iterative statements we discussed, the enumerate function, then the different data types, in which we had discussed list data type in detail, including the list comprehensions. All the methods and functions of list was also discussed. Then we talked about the dictionary data type with few examples, and all the methods and comprehension of dictionary was also discussed. In this video, we are going to talk about the tuple data type. We had seen that lists are enclosed in square brackets and their elements and size can be changed, whereas tuples are enclosed in parentheses. When you declare a tuple, we enclose it in parentheses and it cannot be updated. So it becomes a immutable data type. So these are some of the examples we had seen in our previous session. Let us get into the details of tuple data type. We can say that tuples are another sequence data type. It is also similar to list, and the tuple items can be of any data type. It is similar to list. It can be of any data type. You can have strings, integer, float, any data type, combination of all these things. It can be heterogeneous or it can be homogeneous data type. A tuple is nothing but a collection which is ordered and unchangeable. So this is the point to be noted. It is ordered and it is unchangeable. When I say ordered, items have a defined order and that order will not change. The same way, when I say unchangeable, we cannot change, add or remove items after the tuple has been created, right? So that is why we say tuple is a collection which is ordered one and it is unchangeable. List elements can be changed, whereas tuples cannot be updated. We can say that it is something like read-only list. Okay. Now, since we cannot remove the elements of the tuple, it can be deleted as a whole, right? You can delete a tuple as a whole from the memory using the del statement. Say, for example, you declare a tuple something like this, and you can delete it using del statement. You say del and tuple 1, which is the name of the tuple, then it will be removed from the memory. Even the reference will not be there for that particular object. So this is an example of a delete statement. You can see that I am declaring fruits and I am printing fruits, and I am declaring new fruits and I am printing new fruits, right? So this will be the output for that particular code segment. For this statement, the tuple will be printed as it is. And if you use the delete statement, you can observe here I am assigning fruits. I try to print fruits and I have new fruits as the second tuple. And I am going to use the delete statement here. I say delete and I give the tuple name, right? And I try to print the new fruits. So now it says new fruits is not defined. After deleting, I try to access that particular object. By the time it gives you an error saying it is not defined, because I have deleted this object from the memory. Right, so delete statement is used for deleting the object completely from the memory. Okay, so this is a simple example for the delete statement. Then a tuple has lots of functions like these functions. We have length function, which tells how many items a tuple has. Then we have max function, which will be returning the maximum value from a tuple. Then minimum function that returns the minimum value from a tuple. Then we have tuple function. This is also called as a constructor, right? So when you want to create a tuple, you can use this tuple function as a constructor for creating the object. So tuple constructor is used to make a tuple and it returns a list into a tuple. So generally a sequence will be passed as an argument and it will be returning this sequence as a tuple by using the tuple constructor. Let us see some examples of these. I declare, see, you can observe here how tuple constructed. So here we had seen tuple is a function and it is also a constructor which is used to make a tuple. You can observe here I am using tuple constructor to create a tuple object and I am assigning it to the variable called fruits. I try to print the length of the fruits. You can observe only 3 items are there, so it gives the output as 3. Max fruits, you can observe here I am using this max function for the string variable also. Sorry, not string variable, string values also, right? So these are the 3 string values, 3 string items available in the tuple. If I give max, then it gives you cherry. So it goes in the alphabetical order. So C is the largest or the alphabet which is having the largest Unicode value. So that is taken as the maximum. Okay. When I use max with the string values, you can observe it goes with the Unicode values. The same way I am using numbers here, right? I use numbers here for creating the tuple and I am trying to print the maximum of this numbers. It gives you 123 as the output. When I tried printing minimum, it gives you 10 minimum value from this list of items. This maximum gives you the maximum value from the items of this tuple. So you can just observe how the max function is used for the string items of a tuple and number items of a tuple. Okay. Now we had seen that a tuple can be used as a constructor or a function where I can pass a sequence as an argument. So I am now declaring numbers as a list. Square bracket I am using, so that means it is a list. And I pass this list as an argument for the tuple constructor and I am assigning it to new tuple. So new tuple becomes a tuple object that contains these elements as the items. So 10, 20, 37, 56 become the items of new tuple. Okay, you can observe here. Okay, now one point to be noted here is whenever I am using the tuple, let us assume that you want to create a tuple with only one element. There is only one item in the tuple. So if you have only one item in the tuple which is to be created, you can see here I am using the parenthesis. I am not using any tuple constructor also. I just give the parenthesis and I give that one item value here. Then I am giving a comma here. Then I am assigning it to fruit tuple, which is a variable for the tuple object. Okay. Then I try printing the type of this particular variable and it shows that it is a tuple. Suppose if you have not given the comma here, then this value will be considered as a string and fruit tuple becomes a string object. So this is the point to be noted in the Python. If you want to create a tuple with only one item, then you should use this particular format, whereas this format cannot be used. Whereas if you are using a tuple constructor, right? So if you use tuple constructor, then it will be created as a tuple. If you want to, let us test it in Spider. So let it open. Okay. So if you are using the tuple constructor, how it functions. If you don't use the tuple constructor, how it functions, let us see. Okay, let me clear the console also. So I am going to declare fruits equal to, now I am not using the constructor, I just give ABC value, okay, then comma, and I type printing the type of fruits, fine, okay. Now if I use the same without comma, what will happen? So I am not using comma here, and let us use the same with tuple constructor. So I use tuple, and you can observe two parentheses are used, and I am not going to give comma here. So let us see how it works. You can observe when I have not given the tuple constructor, only parenthesis, by the time I need a comma to say it is the tuple object. Okay. If I have not given comma, this has been taken as a string object. And here I am not giving any comma, but I am using a tuple constructor or tuple function. So automatically this becomes the tuple object. So please observe these differences when you use the tuple. Okay. I hope it is very clear for you now. Okay. So this is what the point to be noted. If you have only one item, either you have to declare it this way by using a comma, whereas if you don't use comma, this will be considered as a string. So either you use this particular format or you use the tuple constructor for creating the object. Okay, fine. Now next, as you access the list items, the tuple items can also be accessed using the index number inside the square brackets. The first item will be accessed using the index 0, and the last item, right, the last item, or from the end, if you want to access the elements or the items, we use the negative indexing. And we know that tuples are unchangeable, it is immutable. So but sometimes you want to update the items, right? You want to add an item to the tuple, or you want to remove an item into the tuple, add an item into the tuple, or you want to remove an item from the tuple. If this is the case, what we do, we convert the tuple into a list, then change the list, then convert the list back into a tuple. So this is one simple trick that you can use to update the items of a tuple, because the tuple cannot be changed. The size as well as the elements of the tuple cannot be changed. That is why we say the tuples are ordered and it is unchangeable. So the order cannot be changed and the items cannot be changed. Okay. So if I want to update the tuple, what we do, we are going to convert it into list, and then we change the elements of the list, again convert the list back into tuple. So this is a simple example you can observe. This is a tuple, right? This is a tuple. X is a tuple. Y is a list. So from the tuple X, I create Y using the list function. I pass the tuple as an argument. Then y of 0, right? Y of 0, that means the first element of the list. First element of the list, I'm going to change it to z. Then I'm creating the tuple again from the list y, which is now updated one, and I assign it to x. And if you try printing x, it will be updating the first element of the tuple. Okay, so this is a simple trick that you can use to update the tuple. Let us see the examples here. This is a tuple with some fruit names. The variable is fruits. For printing the first item, I am using index 0. You can see index 0 will be referring the first item, apple. Then index 1 refers the second item in the fruits tuple. Fruits of 1 gives you plums, and fruits of -1, negative indexing, will take the item from the end. So from the end, the item is mango. So mango is printed here. -2 gives the second last, which is watermelon, that is printed here. And if you give a range, right, 2 to 5, 2:5. So this is one range. Now this will be returning the items from position 2 to 5, and you can observe item in position 5 will not be included. So 2, this is 0, this is 1, 2 is cherry. Okay. So 2, 3, 4, this is 5, but 5 will not be included. 2 to 5 minus 1, that is 2 to 4. 2, 3, 4 will be considered. So cherry, orange and kiwi will be the output for this particular range. Now when you give the range, you can omit the first part of the range or the second part of the range, something like this. This is also allowed. So if I don't give the starting of the range, starting value of the range, it returns the items from position 0 to 4, and you can observe item in position 4 will not be included. Whereas if I give this way, it returns the items from position 2 to the last item. So if I don't give starting range, the starting index will be 0. If I don't give end of the range, then it will be taken to the last item. The only point that is to be noted is, in the range, if you give a number, the last number, right, the end of the range, that position will not be included in the items. Okay. So if I say :4, right from the first element, which is index 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3 will be taken, but this will not be taken. Okay. 4, the element in the fourth position will not be taken. When I say fourth position, it is not position actually, it is index, right? Fourth index will not be considered. Whereas when I give fruits 2:, it gives you the output right from index 2. Index 2 is cherry to the last item. So cherry, orange, kiwi, watermelon and mango will be the output. Okay. Now we can also use the in keyword to find if a specified item is present in a tuple or not. Right. So I just check if apple in fruits, print yes, apple is in the fruits tuple. So since apple is available in the fruits tuple, it will say yes, apple is in the fruits tuple. Okay. And this is the example we had seen for updating the tuple. So for updating the tuple, what is the trick to be followed? Convert the tuple into list, then update it, again convert the list back into tuple. So that is what this example shows. This is a tuple, convert this tuple to list, so y becomes a list. Now update the item in y, then we have tuple of we are converting list y back to tuple using this tuple constructor again. Then we try to print x. So ABC is now updated to ZBC. So this is how we can update the tuples. Okay. Now, apart from these operations, we can use plus operator for joining two or more tuples. So, this is how we will be using the plus operator for joining the tuples. Then, if you want to increase the content of a tuple a given number of times, we use the star operator. So, if you want to increase the content of your tuple 2 times, 3 times, etc., we can use the star operator. Star operator is actually used for multiplication, right? So, if I use multiplication operator here along with the tuple, it will be increasing the content by specified number of times. Okay, so this is how we will be giving the option. Then these are the two methods available in tuple. One is count method, the other one is index. Count method, you know that it returns the number of times a specified value occurs in a tuple. So if you pass a value here, how many times a value is repeated in the tuple will be specified. Then index, it will search the tuple for a specified value and returns the position of that particular value, right? So in which particular index number it is available. Let us see the example, then it will be more clear for you. Let us assume this is a tuple that we are going to declare a set of numbers. Then I am going to give the count method. I ask it to count 5, right? So how many times 5 is available in the tuple? So it counts 5. So 5 is available 2 times. 1, 2. So the output will be 2. Then I am going to use the index method. So I say index and I pass the value as 8. So it is going to give you at which particular position 8 is available. At which particular position or at which particular index the value 8 is available. So 8 is here. So the index number is 0, 1, 2, 3. So the index of value 8 is 3. So 3 will be printed here. Then I am declaring another tuple with values 1, 2, 3 alone, right? So 1, 2, 3 are the elements of this particular tuple, and I am using the multiplication operator. You can observe here, right? So this is a good example to show that how tuples are immutable, how tuples cannot be changed. Here you can observe I say num equal to nums into 2. Okay, I am creating a new variable nums star 2. Okay, then I am printing let us have it in our then I am declaring another tuple object by multiplying it by 2, and I try printing nums and new nums. So nums will be 1, 2, 3, new nums will be 1, 2, 3 multiplied 2 times. So new nums will have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? So 2 times the contents will be added in the tuple. Then you can observe here the plus operator. The plus operator will be joining 2 tuples. So nums is currently having 1, 2, 3. Then new nums, you can observe here, nums is having 1, 2, 3. New nums 2 times of nums, right? So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 is the content of new nums. This is new nums and this is nums tuple. So when I added, I get 1, 2, 3. Then this list 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 will be the output. If you want, let us try it in the spider. I declare num 1, 2, 3. Okay, so some variable, right? So there I used in the example I used nums. Here I am going to use num. Let me try num is equal to num star 2. Then I declare new num equal to num into 2. Okay, so let us try printing num, then new num also. Okay, so I try running it. You can observe this num has given 2 times 1 2 3 1 2 3, right? Now what happens here, let me tell you. Okay, so since num is a tuple, when I tried updating it, what it will do actually, the new object, so this becomes a new object, it will be multiplied 2 times, right? The contents will be increased 2 times. So 1 2 3 is now 1 2 3 comma 1 2 3, again 2 times it is appearing. But this num is not the same object like this, because it will be multiplying it by 2, right? Increases the content this many number of times, and this becomes a new object. This is not this particular object. That is what you have to observe, right? And when I said new num, this number is taken, and it is earlier it is 1 2 3 comma 1 2 3, and this was again repeated. So 1 2 3 1 2 3 is repeated again here as 1 2 3 1 2 3. So this is how it works. So even though it is immutable, what the system will do, it will be increasing the content, it will be updating, but when it is updating, the objects will be different. So this object is not getting updated. Instead, this object will be used as the input, and this becomes a new object created with the new content, right? So that is what you have to understand. Okay, so that is what we have to understand with the tuple operator star. And plus, obviously it is used for joining two tuples. Just all the elements will be added and new tuple will be created here, right? So these are some of the methods and the functions used in the tuple. So we'll discuss the set data type and its various methods and functions in the next session. Thank you.